Hello, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Icsg Virtual Meet Sessions. This is Matthias, the project leader of Icsg 2021, and I'll be your host for today's Icsg Virtual Meet Sessions. And we're with Mr. Matthias Finger. He is the president of Istanbul Center for Regulation and former Congress president of Icsg as well. Mr. Finger, welcome to ICSG Virtual Meet Sessions. We are so honored to host you here again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Aha. And now, if you allow me, I would like to share some information about yourself to our viewers, please.
Please.
Okay, then. Mr. Finger is a professor emeritus in charge of digital governance and regulation at the Center for Digital Trust, C4DT, at École Polytechnique Fédérale in Lausanne, Switzerland. He holds a PhD in political science from the University of Genoa. He has been an assistant professor at Syracuse University in New York, an associate professor at Columbia University in New York again, and a professor of management of public enterprises at the Swiss Federal Institute of Public Administration. And between 2002 and 2020, the Swiss Post Chair in Management of Network Industries at EPFL. Since 2010, he is a part-time professor at the European University Institute in Florence, Italy, where he directs the Florence School of Regulations Transport Area FSRT. And since 2017, he is also a professor at the Faculty of Management at Istanbul Technical University, directing the Istanbul Center for Regulation, IC4R. He is the founder of the Global Executive Program on the Innovative Governance of Large Urban Systems, IGLUS. Okay then, and here we go. Matthias, I can see that you have a great experience in this sector in terms of both academic and private sector. Could you please tell us about your successful career and your business life, please?
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation.
You're welcome.
You know, my business life, I didn't really have a business life. I have been a professor and academic all my career, but I was a professor of management, and as such, of course, you know everything about business.
Yes.
You don't need to be a manager. No, I'm joking. I have always been close to business and public administration as well, public management and private management, because my chair at EPFL had been sponsored by a company. And so, you know, for all my career, almost, at least my career in Switzerland, and as a result, you know, you have to be close to the practical life.
Yes,
you
of
cannot
course.
just live in your academic bubble. And so I have always interacted very much with mostly with infrastructure companies, but some of them are public, some of them are private. And then, you know, on my practical side, I have been regulator, and I think that's where I learned most about the industries, things that you cannot really learn from the books. I have been a railway regulator for 12 years, and I have been an electricity market regulator for 12 years in Switzerland. And so I think a lot of my experience and also then my academic work has been inspired by these practical examples. So I don't know exactly how to position myself, but somebody once said, and I found that this was a good characterization. They said he's an academic entrepreneur, and I think that's about the right definition.
Okay then. So you've been in this sector for a long time, and you must have had some critical issues and decisions to make. And can you please give us the most challenging issue story that you have been involved with?
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think this results again from this interface between theory and practice, between academia and management. If you are just in academia, I mean, it's more or less a quiet life, and you don't really have critical issues, except when your papers are not published. but you know, the real critical issues come from the confrontation between the academic aspiration or rigor or something like that, and the practical problems you are trying, or the companies are trying to solve. And that's mostly in terms of consulting, or, you know, consulting work, evaluation work. And I think those are the critical issues. So I think the most critical ones, and it happens often, you know, is when the client for whom you do some work, when you have to tell the client that he is really confused and that, you know, what he or she is trying to do is not really doable. And so I see that a lot. And that's quite a difficult kind of challenge, because after all they pay, but you have to give them an honest advice.
Okay, and as far as we know, you've been playing table tennis and you're very good at it. However, you're a very busy gentleman. How do you find time for doing sports? And what is your advice regarding time management for CEOs?
No, maybe first about sports. I think it's also an attitude thing. You know, it's not just, but it evolves over age. When you get older, you change a little bit, you know. But I think I stopped seeing sport as a compensation for the work or something that you do after the work, and started to see it. It's the condition for doing good work, you know. So often, you know, I do it in the morning before starting the work. And of course, being now a professor emeritus, I'm a little bit freer to organize my time. But I think it becomes a condition for doing good professional work. And then, you know, you mentioned table tennis. Yes, I think it's a little bit it's a sport for sort of academic kind of people, because you always have your head in your theories, but when you play table tennis, you cannot think about anything else. And it really takes you out of your out of your daily routine. It's a little bit different from running or, you know, things where the head continues to work all the time. And I think that's why I think table tennis is very good for me.
Yeah, you have to keep concentrating on the table tennis. And,
exactly. Otherwise, you miss the ball.
And who do you play with?
Oh, I play with many people. I play competition. So it's I play every day.
You play every day. Very nice. So you've been in various countries, including Turkey, and which one has impressed you the most, and why? What was the thing behind of it?
You know, I have been traveling a lot. I mean,
I know a lot.
I think I have visited about 120 countries, or maybe a little bit more. And most of them, I mean, leisure, but it's professional. I mean, it's in most of the countries I have had something to do, and it's a better way to discover the countries. We will talk about the Eagles program later, but you know, you visit countries, and then you start to work with the people, and that's how you get to know the whole country better. So, you know, after all, I think I've been more or less all over, but you know, I still come back to Turkey. Turkey is, you know, it's a little bit my second home, and you know why? You asked me why. I think it's a unique combination of tradition, history, and modernity. You know, it's sort of a link between both, and I think that's not that easy to do. There are not that many countries that manage to keep the tradition and build on the tradition and the whole culture and history that goes with it, which is really rich in Turkey. And then, modernize at the same time without destroying the tradition. So, I can think of Japan or of Korea as comparable countries, but Turkey, I think, does it better. And, and then, of course, I like Turkey because it's diverse. It's a very diverse country, geographically diverse. City, countryside, east, west, north, south. It's culturally diverse. It's a very diverse country,
and it is still in progress
for its peoples. People. Voila. That's sort of after thinking about which country. There are other great countries for culture, for everything, but I think it's the combination of these things that makes it interesting.
I totally agree with you about Turkey, yeah. And now I would like to ask some questions about our sector if you're ready.
Sure.
Okay, then here they come. So, Matthias, it is certain that the world has had affected by COVID-19 and seems that it will take some time to get back into circulation again. And after COVID-19, what will be changed in city life? What do you think about new energy trends and smart cities in this new period of life? I wonder your point of view, if you like.
Yeah, now we have been in lockdown, a person like me who travels twice, three times a week hasn't been in an airplane for a year.
Uh-huh.
And I'm not sure it will come back like before. We have to look, aviation, I work with the aviation people. They are all very hopeful. There is a downturn and then it will start again. Of course, it will grow again, but it will not necessarily come back. Tourism, we see that there are many things that you actually don't need to do. A lot of useless travel that has been done. Sometimes I call it in academia as well, scientific tourism, going to conferences, which actually you can do equally well. So I think not everything is going to come back, and it's not necessary that everything comes back like before. What has really been boosted is the whole movement of digitalization. The work from a distance, conference from a distance, teach from a distance. And yes, the trend had been ongoing already, but I think it's accelerated, and that will stay. There we will not go back. And it has accelerated that movement. But I would like to say something a little bit more general about this COVID thing. I think it's a warning. It's an announcement of things to come in an ever more populated, ever more polluted, ever more congested environment that, and it may not be another pandemic, it may be something else, climate issues or pollution issues or financial crisis, So I think, this kind of fragility or vulnerability of our modern societies worldwide. This touches worldwide, and we see it from aviation. I think this will be more of the new normal.
Yeah.
And I think we have to get used to things like that in the future.
From now on, you mean?
From now on, but I have been reading a lot now backwards, and this warning had already existed. We just didn't listen to it. People didn't think it was possible. But experts had been warning about pandemics of this kind for quite a while already. Like they warn about other things which we don't take seriously.
Yeah.
But I think that's the kind of new, more fragile societies in which we are in.
Yeah. And let's talk about iglus a bit. And you're a founder of the global executive program on iglus. And could you please tell us about what iglus does and the aim of this organization?
Mm-hmm. So, iglus was a creation of mine. Um, because a combination from different things. I am a specialist of infrastructures, but historically, all these infrastructures are more dealt with at the national level. They're regulated at the national level.
Yes.
We have national planning for infrastructures, but the new phenomenon is really urbanization. People flock to the cities. Now, maybe with the pandemic, there will be some caveats that, we already see some people are moving out of the big cities and digitalization allows for this. But I think the overall trend of urbanization will continue unabated. And Iglus, basically wanted to understand how we govern these dense, intensive, expensive urban infrastructures, in an efficient, in a sustainable, in a resilient kind of way. And so I have created, together with people who help me, I have created, I have started with an executive program. Basically, how do you learn about this? Because the expertise doesn't really exist. All the infrastructures are separate. People who do water, then people do electricity, people do waste, and they never talk to each other. And then, and even at the national level, and then they are governed by other people. The engineers are other people. The architects and the planners are still other people, and they also don't talk to each other. And so all this comes together in an urban, I would rather call agglomeration, metropolitan area. Where more than half of the world's population lives. And so the question is, how do we govern these things? This is unique, has never happened in the history of humanity. And so of course we had cities before, but Istanbul is 20 million people, or 60,
almost,
depending on how you calculate, and who you ask. But and it was less than 1 million in 53. And this is not untypical in the world. And so how to govern these systems? We take participants, urban city managers around the world, and visit centers like Istanbul, Seoul, Mexico City, these big mega cities, and watch how they do it. Because after all, most of them function. So and it's quite astonishing given the complexity and all this. So of course you can always make it better. We look at improvement of the management of. But I think the originality is really, we look at these metropolitan areas as systems, complex, dynamic, social, technological systems, and I think that helps to really understand. How, at least helps us to make recommendations to better govern these systems. That's what we are trying to do. But since we have been very successful, so people ask us to create. So Iglus is actually a program. It's not really an organization. But since we have been asked by many people to create sort of smart city labs in different parts of the world, and that's a little bit different, because there we're working with city governments on concrete issues, and it's much more regional, because yes, Iglus is totally global, and it's a global problem, and it's everywhere, but still every metropolitan area is different.
Yes, of course.
And so the governance is somehow different.
Yeah, and you've stated that you've been visiting some mega cities such as Seoul or Istanbul or Mexico City. And does Iglus have some solutions or providing some solutions to these cities?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, so we are not providing, we are, we are an executive program, you know, more about learning. I mean, and I would say about action learning. And so we don't have, we are not a vendor that sells a solution to a city. And actually, we look at these vendors, we invite the vendors because they also think about solutions, and then we discuss, you know, what works. Some solution may work in Asia, it doesn't work in Africa. You know? And so I think we are a network. We bring together the people who really are thinking about all these things, and technology plays a huge role in all this. It's a technological system, but then we sort of help to adapt these technologies to the specific urban environment, which is politically different, culturally different, economically different. You know, so that's the. So I would say no, it's not really a solution. It's some sort of a club where the people who think around this, we have the aspiration to bring these people together in the world and think along. And so far, I think we have managed to, you know, to have excellent participants and excellent lecturers and an excellent network that continues. And I think that's so it's good to be not for profit. You know, we don't need to make money. We can really, you know, help think about the evolution of these metropolitan areas. I think that's our contribution.
Yeah. And when it comes to the regulation, it is one of the most important issues for sure, and making collaborations both with academical and governmental authorities are so crucial to get the results. Could you please explain the understanding of Istanbul Center for Regulation, which is in collaboration with Istanbul Technical University?
Okay, yeah, and you know, it was my wish to develop something more concrete also in Istanbul, and the model somehow the model is the Florence School of Regulation, where I'm also a professor.
Yeah.
But you know, the Florence School of Regulation is very European centric. We work together with the European Commission, and the equivalent does not really exist anywhere else. And you know, I thought that it's not just Turkey; it's really the region. You know, it's a region that goes into the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea and Central Asia and Middle East and Mediterranean and Balkans. You know, and there is a need for a competence on regulation.
Yeah, exactly.
Not copying Europe, but Europe is still the intellectual leader in the, but it has to be adapted. And so, you know, we took the initiative to create a center. The center is, you know, under it's approved by the government, so it's an official center, physically hosted at Istanbul Technical University. But the university is the host. The center is, you know, has a broader aspiration. We want to. It's always the same aspiration. We want to link academic thinking about regulation and regulatory experiences all over the world and apply them to concrete regulatory challenges in the main infrastructures that are energy, transport, and communications, and of course, increasingly digitalization that permeates everything. So I think that's the kind of, to create something regional other than just European. Of course, Turkey has also a link with Europe, and there is inspiration, and there is also influence. I mean, certain things Turkey is, and the region is totally linked. We talked about aviation, to the system. So it cannot be done autonomously, but still it has to be done within a particular cultural, institutional context.
So I have a last question for you then. So what is your perspective about smart grids and smart cities in this new era, in new normals, in the era of swift technology?
Okay, yeah, good question. I mean, we come out of a trend, which was very much shaped by liberalization, market, privatization, things like that. And it's not going to change. But I think this trend is overlaid by digitalization that comes on top of it. And in Europe, we call this decarbonization, climate change, dealing with environmental issues. And these two, not that they are against the market, but I think they've become overriding concerns, and the market or the private sector will increase, at least that's my view, will increasingly work hand in hand with the public sector to deal with these new challenges. It's not I think we're clearly beyond now this discussion. Should it be the market or the government, or which one is better and all that? I mean, we wasted, I think, 20, 30 years on these kind of debates. And now I think we are into public-private partnerships. We need the private sector to help solve collective problems, but the private sector also needs to be regulated in order to be able to contribute. So I think that's yes, smart grids, smart everything will be smart. I mean, then the question is, what is smart? But I think the way, at least let me say, the potential of these digital technologies is, I think, first in efficiency. It will help make all these technical systems more efficient, regardless which one. And also, I think, resilience, because in this new normal, I think we need more resilience, and technology will help us to become more resilient.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, dear Mr. Finger, thank you very much for this great interview, and I would like to thank you for your support since the beginning of Icsg, and it was an honor to host you as always. And dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, we were with Mr. Matthias Finger, President of Istanbul Center for Regulation and our former Congress President. Thank you very much for your time again, and thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
And I would like to thank you for joining us, and hope to see you in our next session with Mr. Mark B.M. Osel, member of the board OSGP Alliance, on the 25th of February at 1 p.m. Central Eastern Time and 11 a.m. local time of Istanbul. Until then, I wish you all a great day on behalf of whole ICSC team. See you soon and stay tuned.